Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and as we get ever closer to the return of Celtic this weekend, we need to sit down and discuss the details considering a player who might not return anytime soon, and that is Kasper Schmeichel. Following that video yesterday talking about the injury he sustained on international duty, more details have emerged as to how long he could potentially be out for, and it's bad news for now. So bear with me, we're going to talk about that, a few other things, and the man who has hung behind me for the majority of my videos for the last year, not Joe Hart, the other one. So yeah, let's get into that. If you haven't, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 50k before the end of the season. We're so close to 49,000 subscribers, so keep up the support. Thank you guys so much. And we've got a few things to cover today. I want to try and get it done and dusted before our live stream tonight, so let's get into this. You'll remember yesterday on the channel we sat down to talk about Kasper Schmeichel, and more specifically the injury he picked up in Denmark's Nations League match against Portugal the other night, an injury which left him in visible and audible discomfort. He was kept on the park for 15 minutes after picking it up because Denmark were out of substitutions, and following the game, of course, according to headlines and now confirmed by many sources, he was rushed to hospital. Kasper Schmeichel spent some time in hospital nearby to figure out the extent of his injury, which we've heard more details about today. And I hate to say it, but the details are not sounding good. These were the type of headlines coming out of Denmark this morning. Worrying. Here is the status of Kasper Schmeichel, and this is how bad things are with Kasper Schmeichel after his hospital visit. Some of the outlets going on to say that he was spotted in Lisbon airport with his arm in a sling, and with the look on his face, the tired and worrying expression, things would suggest that this is not a minor injury. In fact, some of these outlets in Denmark going on to say that this is a question mark over the availability of Schmeichel's fitness for the next international break in September, when they will face Scotland on September 5th. So yesterday I said I have a bad feeling about this. I don't think it's going to be a case of missing a game or two. It could be a few weeks. But some people in the Danish media are going on to suggest even more so that this could see him out until September. Which means not only does he miss the end of this season, not only does he miss a Scottish Cup semi-final and potentially Scottish Cup final, he wouldn't even be back in time for raising the league flag in August. So worrying stuff to hear right now. I am keen to ensure every supporter watching this video that nothing is set in stone yet. Don't get carried away and don't get overly concerned. Yes, it doesn't look like a minor injury, but there is no confirmation that Kasper Schmeichel will be out till September. Right now, it's media speculation of what people have seen at Lisbon airport by the look on his face and the fact his arm is in a sling. In fact, we did get some decent news from the team doctor of the Danish national team, saying that he was sent for a scan and there was nothing abnormal about it. There was an x-ray done last night. This was speaking this morning, I believe, and the images did not show anything abnormal. He is clearly in pain after a fall on his shoulder, so we are examining him further with an MRI scan. So we're still awaiting to hear results of that MRI scan. I'd imagine the first part of official confirmation or first official news that we'll receive might be through Brendan Rodgers on Friday, but speculation right now about this September date. You may have seen it flying around online. We won't know the full extent of the injury until the MRI tests are done, but nothing abnormal, nothing to get too stressed about yet. But as I said yesterday, I would brace yourself for the really real scenario and real possibility that Kasper Schmeichel could be out for the rest of this season at least. So yeah, really frustrating to say the least, and especially with the circumstances that caused the injury. I'm not going to revisit my rant yesterday talking about the offside rule and when the flag is raised or not, but it is really frustrating. And you know, Kasper Schmeichel only has maybe a year left in his career after this summer. We know that he's signed that 1-year extension with Celtic that will probably take him to retirement, so any amount of time missed for Kasper Schmeichel is a real shame for him first of all, but it's a shame for Celtic fans who have enjoyed every minute he's given to the club so far, and he's pushing for that Golden Glove this season in Scotland, of course, looking to maybe break records when it comes to clean sheets, and the fact that he might not be able to finish the season now is truly a shame. So I hope that the result of this MRI scan is as good as it possibly can be. Maybe by a miracle, he might only be out for a few weeks, but I'm containing my optimism for now, because I know that these things can be tricky. These are the sorts of injuries that could call for surgery depending on what's happened, so we just need to wait and see what Brendan Rodgers tells us on Friday. It's an anxious wait, it's a nervous wait, I understand that, but Viljami Sansao now has a huge opportunity this weekend to really show what he's made of and why Celtic brought him to the club this past summer. And I know that he's only played one game this season, but I'm sure he's ready through his training at Lennoxtown with Stevie Woods and Brendan Rodgers. So we'll wait and see how that goes. We'll wait and see what the update is with Kasper Schmeichel. And as always, if you stick around with the channel, we'll be here to report it as soon as we possibly can. Talking about the international break, let's try and put a more positive spin on things. For a moment, I want to talk about one of my favourite players in the Celtic squad, big Adam Idah, who had a fantastic international break with Ireland after scoring against Bulgaria the other night in a 2-1 victory for the Irish national team. But not only did he score, he didn't pull any punches in his post-match comments. He had a few spicy words to say when it comes to his critics. This was what Adam Idah said after scoring against Bulgaria. I saw a lot of stuff online, so it was just about telling people to shut up, really. I've got over it. I see all the time, and I know exactly how I did tonight. That's how you shush them. That's when you let your feet do the talking. Obviously, I was frustrated with the first game, but I came on today and did what I've been doing all season, so it was just to the people who were doubting me. So comments that were more directed towards Irish national team supporters rather than Celtic supporters. I think people will read these headlines and think it's a general comment towards our fans for the criticism he may have faced over the course of this season. But I think a lot of the comments will still apply to Celtic supporters. He's someone who has had the jury out on him all season. He's had his ups and downs. I've always been pretty clear I'm a huge Adam Idah fan, and I know that he'll come good, even if he's going through rough patches. But that's the sort of attitude he now needs to bring to a week in, week out basis at Celtic. You know, he has had his peaks and troughs. He's been, as I've said, up and down in his form. We need that consistency. He needs to make the case that he should be starting through the middle for Celtic up front, week in, week out. And if he has that confidence when he's playing for Ireland, he needs to bring it over to Celtic now. He needs to shut the critics up over here as well. But the critics are there, and rightfully so, I suppose. I already know there will be a host of people in the comments saying that he doesn't let his feet do the talking here, that he's been a waste of £9 million, and quite rightly he has those critics to shut up. And I understand that to an extent, I do. I would be ignorant to sit here and say that he's been perfect since re-signing in the summer for such a big transfer fee. But I guess there's a little bit of patience that has to be involved. That huge price tag was always going to up the pressure on him. I think if this was a guy that we spent £3 or £4 million on, we wouldn't be as heavy with our criticism, or certain fans wouldn't be as heavy with their criticism. But £9 million is obviously a huge amount to spend on a striker. We've only done it once before with Odsonne Edouard, so there was a lot to live up to there, and you could make the case that he's maybe not lived up to that quite yet, but he showed the glimpses of the player we know he can be. Of course, he was so vital at this stage last year when he arguably was the turning point, the catalyst for the squad in winning a league title. So yeah, listen, he's telling the critics to shut up, and he's trying to do it with his feet. I want him back from this international break, and I want him doing the same thing. Let your feet do the talking, not the words, Adam. Final story for today. I had to bring it up. I couldn't leave it out. I know that most people don't care, and a lot of you will be probably turning off the video right now, but CM Punk back in Celtic colours. And if you know me well, or if you've watched this channel for years, you know how much that means to me. CM Punk, my idol in life, my favourite human being to walk the earth, arguably. The man who has actually been up here for the last almost year since appearing in Celtic colours for the first time. He was back at Celtic Park this morning for a tour of the stadium. He was gifted a Best in the World shirt, and he was back in the colours as well last night. A lot of content by the club capitalising on this newfound love of Celtic Football Club for our boy Phil. Pepsi Phil. Yeah, obviously a huge CM Punk fan, a huge wrestling fan, you know that by now, and CM Punk my favourite of all time. Nice to see him in the Celtic colours. It suits him well, and some good wee content over on the social channels at Celtic. It's nice to see them, as I said, capitalise on something like this and get the best out of it. It's mad to think this all came from a silly blood feud with Drew McIntyre, a big Rangers supporter, of course, and now we have Phil on our side. So I hope he enjoyed this tour. It's great. I'm sure we'll have the photo of him with the league trophy up in the background sometime soon. It's something that has to be involved. But yeah, go on, Phil, son. I love to see it.
I gotta send this picture to Drew right now.
Anyway, that does it for today. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all tonight for a live stream. We'll be going live sometime between 7 and 8 o'clock just to catch up on all things Celtic. So until then, take care of yourselves, God bless, and remember, God bless CM Punk. The CM stands for Celtic, man. See you next time.